Hey everybody, welcome back to my shop. Or maybe I should say, long time no see. Sorry for my recent hiatus. Life has been just crazy the last 3 months. Between some work and business changes and the massive renovation project I've been doing on my place, which entailed replacing 10 windows and rebuilding several walls where the windows had leaked and rot out the studs and even some of the floor joists and ay. So 10 brand new windows, brand new front door, brand new back door, all brand new sheathing around, house wrap, brand new siding. I've been busy. And I'm sorry I just had to put my YouTube channel on hold for a bit just to be able to handle everything. But now I'm back and ready to have some fun in the shop. So today we're going to turn this little chip and dip platter where the chips will go around the outside and the dip in the center. And we're even going to get to try out a new finish sent to me by my Uncle Bill from Alberta. Thanks again, Uncle Bill. Remember, he sent me some finish before, that water-based poly. So, without any further ado, please remember, this is not an instructional video. It is meant for entertainment purposes only. Your safety is your responsibility. So let's get started. So we're just going to start out with this slab of American Elm. I milled it 2 years ago with my chainsaw and it's really dry. And as it dried, it got really twisted. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. So I'm not going to mill it on the bandsaw because it won't be very stable. So instead I'm just going to mill it with my electric chainsaw. So let's move on to that. I've got the blank mounted between centers to hold it for the milling process with the chainsaw. And I'm going to be very careful not to run into the headstock or the tool rest. And I've got a 15 amp Makita electric chainsaw for indoor milling. And always make sure you use a really heavy gauge extension cord when operating a high amperage electric motor, because using small electric cords will heat up that motor quickly and you'll burn it out quicker doing that than anything else. Same thing with bogging it down. Let the motor do the work, don't push it. So, here we go. This stuff is very dry. Flip it around now. Hit the other side. You see, I'm trying to cut these knots out of here too, so I get a nice clean blank for a food grade wood product. By the way, if you want me to review this chainsaw or my Stihl MS291 or 170, just leave a comment down below and maybe I'll make a video of that in the future. Oh. Okay, that's good enough. We're wood turners after all. We don't have to make it perfectly round before the lathe. So I've just flipped the blank around so we can work on the bottom first. And I'm just locking the headstock while tightening the tailstock and moving the blank back and forth, trying to get those teeth to sink into the wood really well so we have a nice firm grip so it doesn't come flying off at us. Okay, so we're ready to start turning. I'm going to start out with a 5/8 inch swept back grind. And the lathe is set at about 1200 RPM. It's going to be a little bit shaky for the first few seconds, but when I speed up the video, hopefully it goes away. And this is the first time I've turned in over 3 months, and it's the first time tools met wood, so let's hope it goes well. Here we go. The swept back grind is a very forgiving tool. Now we don't have a lot of wood to work with, so we're going to stop and check quite often. Keep that tool rest moved up nicely. It's at a 45 degree for roughing the outside, which is what I prefer. And so we got a few little flat spots left here. We can flatten off the bottom, put a tenon. going to flatten out the front too, just so I know where we're at with the shape and everything. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, just a tiny little flat spot there. Little flat spot there. The rim is pretty much evened out. So we'll take out these last couple flat spots and I'm going to put a 4-inch tenon down here, and I'm going to keep it quite shallow to maximize the amount of wood we'll have left. Just going to mark out the 4-inch tenon here. Close enough. Then lathe speed back up. I'm going to be using the one-way profile jaws, so I need to make sure that the tenon's as close to 90 degrees as possible, maybe even just a little bit dovetailed to be safe. And make sure that you get nice clean cuts in there so that it's not grabbing on soft mushy fibers. If it's holding on really soft mushy fibers, it's going to pull off likely. Just going to flatten off the bottom a little bit better. Getting a little vibration, going to crank the speed up a bit to try to beat those harmonics. I have the bottom slightly concave so that it'll always sit on the outer edge. So let's clean up the outer surface. Always stop your lathe before adjusting the tool rest. And then we're going to switch the tool around and use the sharp end to get some nice clean cuts to get nice clean cuts before. Then we're going to flip the tool around to get a nice sharp edge so we get nice clean cuts before sanding. Let's see how she's doing now. Still a little bit of a flat spot there, and a little flat spot there, so we'll make a couple more passes before using the sharp end of the tool. Boy, this stuff is dry and dusty. Pretty much gone. Okay, I think we're good. And for those of you who are maybe new to this YouTube channel, this one-way bowl gouge I use quite often has two ends to it, so I go to the grinder once to get two sharpenings in. So if you're getting your rhythm, it's kind of nice because you don't have to interrupt yourself besides just doing a quick switch around. So we're going to do a nice clean pass there to clean up that surface. I'm going to ease off this edge just a little bit afterwards so there's nothing too sharp. Nice clean pass, nice and slow. Okay, ease that edge off a bit. There, so it's a little smoother. So I've just moved the tool wrist over to a more perpendicular angle to the wood surface so that I can do some shear scraping. The tool wrist angle is always very important, so learn about it and practice it. Experiment. A little too far away, so move the tool rest around a little bit. Don't want to get any harmonics into the wood. Let's check the surface of the wood now. Not too bad. I don't have any severely torn grain. A little bit here in the early wood of the ring portion because it's quite soft and porous in this American Elm. So I'll just do a couple more passes off camera and we'll be ready to pretty much flip it around and do the inside. Also, before I flip it around, I'm just going to take this corner off here, this edge, because if you run your hand into that when you're hollowing, you're going to cut yourself real bad. I'm just flipping it around and putting it into the chuck, and I'm going to hold it by the tenon. And you see the grain's running this way, so I'm going to run it straight with these jaws this way. That way, each of these jaws is biting both a bit of end grain and a bit of side grain. If you kind of go like this, then these two are grabbing end grain and these ones are side grain. It gets a little bit uneven pressure on all four jaws. So split the difference and get a little bit of end grain and side grain on each jaw. Make sure you push in on the center when you're putting it in there. Or like Phil from Madrona Woodworks does, even use the tailstock pressure. That's even better. So that those jaw surfaces are seated really well to the shoulder of that tenon. Well, as you can see, it's not turning out to be a very big chip and dip platter, but hopefully big enough for one person or two people on a diet. So, lathe speed's up to about 1400. Let's get this surface flattened off. I'm actually going to turn the tool rest out a little bit to give me a little bit more support on the tool. Next, I'm going to mark where I want my chips and where I want my dip. So, we have a diameter of about 9 3/4. So let's just say we'll start with a third of that. So 3 1/4. Let's see what that looks like. You got to kind of play with these things sometimes to get the right kind of dimensions. That's not bad. That might be a little tight yet though. So let's go a little bigger. Not much bigger though. Want to have enough room for chips. So there would be the outside wall. And this wall thickness somewhere around there. I think that'll work, so let's aim for that. Now, since this is my first time back turning in a few months, about 3 months, just over, I'm going to just continue on with the swept back grind and at least use it until I might need the bottom feeder bowl gouge. So I'll start by approaching these lines pretty closely, but I won't quite meet them until I want to hit my finishing cuts. One thing I'd like to note is that, remember, this is a cross grain piece, so we have to cut into the wood to cut downhill with the fibers. We can't cut in and then cut back out. We'll be running uphill into the fibers and we can get a really bad catch. So while I'm making this kind of U-shaped surface, or U-shaped channel in the chip and dip platter, I'm going to be cutting from this side and then I'll have to come back from this side and never pull back up against it. You see, as I run into too much wood, I relieve a little bit of the wood from the other direction, so it's not piling too much heavily up on the front of the tool. Just going to check by hand. Oh yeah, I still got a good inch of thickness down here, so I'm going to have to make a couple deeper swoops. I'm not sure what I'll do in the bottom yet. I might have to do the bottom feeder bowl gouge, or I might even have to use a scraper. Hopefully not, because to me scrapers are a little scary sometimes. My tool handle is running into my lathe bedways. Check for depth again. You know what? Never hurts to just take out the calipers and give it a check. So, yeah, we still got a little bit of meat down there. I think what I'll do is I'll sharpen up the gouge before we refine these surfaces. Maybe I'll take just one more cut here to get rid of this little extra wood. Time to sharpen up. We're all sharpened up. Let's take this wall thickness down a little bit now. I'm actually going to angle the surface of the wood just a little bit inwards and make the bowl appear a little bit more inviting. A little bit of vibration. Okay. I'm actually going to start out here and give it a rounded corner. Check for wall thickness. Oh, can you still see? Oh. That's feeling pretty good. I could probably go a little bit deeper yet. I want to have enough mass in the bottom that it has some heft to it still. I don't want it to be so light that you feel like you're going to tip over the chips and dip at any given moment. So let's just keep working away. Just flip the tool around again to get the sharp edge, because this American Elm seems to take the edge off fairly quick with all the tannins in the wood. So here we're going to take two light cleaning passes with this sharp edge and try to get all the torn grain gone and have it finished. I have a couple tool marks in there still. I might even want to get this a little bit more vertical if I can. Taking the chance here. Could just say it's good enough, but oh well. Tiny little ridge in the bottom. But honestly, I think I could take that out with the sandpaper. Oh heck, one more cut. Where is it? Let's see what happens. Okay. That's as good as I'm going to try to get it. The sandpaper can fix the rest. Okay, now we just got to hollow out this bowl portion. The reason we left this till the end is because you want this mass in the center to try to absorb some of the vibration from the turning. I was already getting a bit of chatter down there, so good thing I didn't get too eager about getting the center portion done. So, let's work on it. And again, I'm going to probably put a lip that dives inwards a bit. And it'll be more inviting, but it'll also help keep the dip in, possibly. I don't know. We'll see after I use it. Now, whenever you're making something, you got to kind of ask yourself, how the heck are you going to actually use it? So I'm starting to think maybe these walls are almost getting a little too steep. So when I take off this edge to thin this wall down just a tad, I'm going to not try to go as steep of an angle, and I don't think I'm going to go as deep as the base of the chip portion, because if you're only going to fill this with chips and not use much dip, you don't want to have the dip so low in there that you have to reach really deep. So yeah, I'm going to leave this just slightly shallower, and I think the proportions of chip to dip should be okay. You know what? I'm going to sharpen up. Okay, I'm back from the grinder. Like they say, you can never be too sharp, but you can always be a little dull. Okay, I think it's ready for sanding. Off camera, I'm going to sand with 150, 220, 320, and 400 grit sandpaper using my homemade power sanding arbors, and then we're going to come back and try out a brand new finish. Okay, so I've sanded the living daylights out of this thing, so now we get to try out that new finish sent to me by Uncle Bill from Alberta. Thanks again, Uncle Bill. So it's called Odie's Oil, and I think it's some sort of an oil wax mixture. Says it's good for furniture, doors, boats, kitchen implements, fully food safe. So what better project could I start it out on, eh? So it says to stir well. Oh wow. It actually has almost kind of a menthol. It must be a citrus solvent or something they use in it. I don't know. Wow. It actually smells quite good. So you can see the consistency of it, eh? If you guys want me to do a full review on this in the future, just let me know in the comments down below. And after I've used it a few times, I could go ahead and tell you what I think about it. Very cool. I can't believe how good it smells. It's like an essential oil kind of a smell. So it says to apply a small amount and rub it into the pores. Now this wood's pretty thirsty wood, so I'm going to be pretty generous off the start here. It says a lot of times you can do it in one application. I'm not sure if that'll happen with this wood, because this wood is actually quite porous. See, it's sucking it up pretty good, but I didn't take that much out of the jar, and I've got most of the coverage already, so. You want to rub it into those pores, though. Oh, it sure brings the color out in the wood, eh? This is the second finish that I was sent to by, or given to by my Uncle Bill. Last time I was pretty happy with the water-based polyurethane. This is looking pretty nice. So what they say is rub it in thoroughly. If there's any dry spots, rub a little bit more in. And then you got to let it sit for at least 40 minutes, but not more than 20 hours. So we'll do that. Okay, I'm just going to keep rubbing this in, and we'll come back and buff it like a friction polish. The finish is sat for about an hour, so it's time to give it a buff. Just using a blue shop towel. Not much is coming off. Well, that's one coat with the Odie's oil. I'm really impressed with this product. That's amazing. It's actually already almost built up on the surface. They say you can put on a second coat, but I don't think it needs it, especially because it's for a food item. So you're just going to be washing off the build in the sink. So whatever you build up for food grade tree and wear, you just wash off in the sink. So you want to fill the wood, not really coat it, if that makes sense. And I can't even describe how good the shop smells like right now. This finish is really cool. Okay, it's ready to turn around and take off the tenon and finish the bottom. It's now the following morning and the shop still smells amazing from that finish, so I'm pretty happy with that. So like I said, I'm going to flip it around and finish the bottom. I'm just going to use a set of jumbo jaws to keep it simple. And the video's getting quite long already, so I'm going to do this in high-speed film just to save some time. I'm being very gentle while I work on the bottom, especially when I take the tailstock away, because these jumbo jaws don't have that strong of a grip. Then I'm just sanding through the grits, signing my name, putting on the type of tree, the year, then throwing on some finish, and then buffing it out. Thanks for tuning into this week's video. I'll throw some photos up at the end of the finished platter. And if you like the video, please click the like button and share it around. If you have any questions or suggestions for me, please fire those off in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll have a new video out every Friday. So thank you very much, have yourself a great day, and God bless.